Okay. Hey there again. How are you? How have you been doing today? How is your Thursday? How is your weekend coming up? Any plans for the weekend? I mean, some Linux maintenance, some Linux learning maybe on Sunday with me. I'm just kidding. So what I have been doing these days is you have probably seen some of my network storage videos, right? So I have a lot of old hard drives laying around and I wanted to reorganize some of my storage. So at this moment in my network storage device, I am running Debian on an Atom CPU. I have 5 gigs of RAM on that one. It is DDR3. Also, I have 4 hard drives, 4 times 2 terabytes, so roughly 3.6 terabytes in RAID Z2 configuration. That is ZFS, zettabyte file system, right? And I have a lot of these small hard drives lying around. And I have yesterday received another gift, a bit larger hard drive, which I am currently hosting in my main PC until I decide how to fit it into my network storage. And most likely, if I want to fit a larger hard drive into my network storage, I'm probably going to buy 3 more of the same size as that one or bigger, right? So until I get that done, I need to see what I'm going to do with a lot of these little ones, these tiny hard drives, right? So as it turns out, I have 4 equally sized 300 gigabyte hard drives, right? And what I did with these is that I took 2 of them and I have put them into my main PC. So 300 gigabytes is not too much, right? But it can serve a certain purpose because the stuff that I hate the most, or let's say that I am allergic to some of the stuff, and that would be electronics lying around unused. Usually I either sell the stuff that I don't plan to use or the stuff that it's not quite sellable, right? Used hard drives, who wants those? So these just kind of lie around until I get an idea on how to use them, right? So my idea is I have installed 2 of them in my PC, and I'm going to put RAID mirror on them, software RAID on Linux, right? And the purpose that these are going to serve to me is that I'm going to keep somewhat important stuff on them. And I say somewhat because my main storage device is 1 terabyte SSD, and that one, if it dies, I lose the data, right? But the idea is to keep the important data on my network storage, which has 2 redundancy hard drives, and this is work in progress. But as an intermediate, I could use local hard drives on my main PC, which feature RAID mirror, right? So the fact that these are all drives is, well, that's why I made a mirror, right? And the thing about the mirror is if one drive dies and fails, I will be informed of this and I can take the third one and replace the one that died, right? And life goes on as if nothing happened. If another one dies, I'm just gonna swap it again because I have 4 of them, right? So these are going to be my spares lying in a drawer. If I find a way to hook them up immediately on my PC and make a 3 drive mirror, so it will still be a 300 gigabyte partition, right? I will do that, but I don't think that I have enough connectors on my SATA ports for that, or it's getting a little bit crowded. So let's kind of go ahead and do it, right? This is the command prompt on my main PC, right? We are on my main PC recording this as we speak. So let's go with the CF disk with dev SDA, right? So this is one of my 300 gigabytes hard drives, right? As you can see right here. What I have already done on this hard drive, I made it a GPT disk, which isn't really important, but I have made a Linux RAID partition on it, which is SDA1. The way I do that is basically, let's delete it, let's make a new one. Okay, we have now created a new one, and by default it falls down to Linux file system. Then you go to type, and then just scroll down to Linux RAID, right? This is all that you need to do. And then you write it down, type yes, and the partition table has been altered, and we're done, right? And then you go to your second hard drive and you do the exact same thing on the second one, also 300 gig drive, also Linux RAID partition on it, and this one is SDB one. And what you need to do next is basically you need to do sudo or not if you're already root. So do the md adm and then go ahead and create dev md0. This is the Linux software RAID device, right? And then you need to choose what level you want this RAID to be. Level equals 1. So you can quickly remember that 1 means like there is RAID, and 0 means there isn't RAID. But that's not the actual definition. That's just how I remember it in my head, because both striping and mirroring both are RAIDs, right? But in my head, the default RAID is the one that gives you data redundancy, right? I'm not saying that this is official definition. It is not. It's just how I how it made most sense in my head when I was a kid, and that's how I remember it throughout my life, right? 1 means we have RAID, I mean mirror, like data redundancy, and 0 means we don't have redundancy. So if you don't have redundancy, then what do we get? We get striping, right? Striping is when you combine 2 drives or more into one logical unit, and then you get speed, basically. You can get double the speed in certain conditions when you do that, and you get the entire space. So basically you would get one partition of 600 gigabytes that is up to double the faster than just one hard drive in sequential transfer, right? Well, that's it, right? If one drive fails, then basically both drives have lost all of the data. That's how striping works. While with the RAID mirror, depending on which technology you use, if you're not using logical volume management but Linux RAID, the one that we are doing right now, then you will make a RAID mirror. So if one drive fails, the other one continues to work and your data is safe. And you get some reading speed improvements. I don't know exactly how much, but you will get some read speed improvements. So that's kind of good, right? Okay, we have level 1 for data redundancy, and we're going to tell it how many devices are we giving to this RAID array, right? So RAID dash devices equals 2. Okay, and then you need to tell it which block devices are going to be placed into this RAID. So go ahead and do the dev SDA1. Okay, and then the second one, dev SDB1. I think we are good, right? Just press enter. To optimize recovery speed, it is recommended to enable write ident bitmap. Do you want to enable it now? Well, I think I do. This array has metadata at the start and not be suitable for as a boot device. If you plan to store /boot on this device, please ensure that your bootloader understands the metadata or use metadata 0.90. Continue creating array. Yes, because we are not going to boot from this drive. and the RAID array has successfully started. So what you need to do now, the mkfs dot. I was actually planning to do the XFS on this RAID array, but apparently Arch Linux doesn't do that. And this is quite disappointing, to be honest. I haven't really checked what is required for XFS, but apparently it doesn't have it out of the box. However, what I wanted to do actually, before I even started making this video, I wanted to make a zettabyte file system on this RAID array, and not the normal Linux RAID, but Arch Linux doesn't actually support ZFS, which is super disappointing for me. I guess the Arch developers don't really believe that Arch users would use the best storage RAID file system there is, so we can just use the butter file system like everyone else. However, these are mechanical drives, so you don't really want to do that. Let's go ahead with ext4, because that's the only option that remains here, and put it on dev md0, right? Goody, goody, goody. There we go. Almost done now, and we're going to have our file system up and running in no time. Creating journal. Well, these are mechanical drives, right? So creating a file system does take a little bit of time, and just a tiny bit of patience is required at this point, right? Writing superblock, and we are now done. So what do we want to do at this point is that we are going to make directory slash ogledalo. Ogledalo means mirror in my language, so we are going to do that, and then we are going to basically mount it. Mount dev md0 to ogledalo, okie dokie, df, good enough. We now have this mount point with our RAID array, and it is 300 gigabytes large and a little bit filled up for whatever reason, and we are almost done at this point. And now you want to make it automatically mount on boot, so go ahead and edit at that first tab. This is the file where you basically boot your default partitions, default drives. So just type dev md0 and then mount it as you mount it as ogledalo. This is your destination mount point, right? Tell it that it is ext4 partition, and just do the defaults and 0 and 0. This is perfectly fine. Save it, exit this file, and we are now almost done. And now let's go ahead md adm detail, okay, and then scan, and then we are going to do the verbose thingy. Let's go ahead and see what it looks like. Good, good, good. And now let's repeat this and place it into etc mdadm.conf. Okay, let's see the file etc mdadm.conf. Yeah, that's it. You're good to go. Anyways, let's do the lsblk so that you can see here that our md0 is spanning across these two, right? This is our RAID array. Okay, what else you can do is let's go back to this command detail and just type dev md0 so you can see how it behaves, right? You can see the version here, the RAID level, array size, used size, RAID devices, total devices, superblock is persistent, clean resyncing, this is fine. We have just begun working with it. We have failed devices, amount is 0. We have 0 spare devices. Spare devices are basically when you would put a third hard drive which isn't really running, but it will automatically hop on to replace the one that failed when it fails, right? So resyncing is not yet complete. You would want to leave this to run until it ends for the first time. You actually can reboot your PC or turn it off now, and it will auto-complete this procedure when you boot it up again next time. So that part is pretty safe. But just to be on the safe side, I would leave this to run until it gets to the 100%, right? Basically, this is what you want to do in order to get a very, very simple RAID mirror, so you can be relatively safe that your data will not just die when your first hard drive dies. And I think that's gonna be it for today's video. Actually, my second video today, so I just felt like making another one. I hope you appreciate this content, and if you do, please like, subscribe, and all this, funny stuff on all of these video channels. And I'm gonna see you in the next one.